Right, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, I just sent one tweet out this morning saying that you were coming on the show, and immediately, conspiracy theorist, he works with Alex Jones. And it's like, you guys are having conspiracy theories about the conspiracy theory. So I was like, let's just talk it out, and we'll see what happens, right?
And I don't mean to give you and other guys on YouTube credit that you don't truly deserve, because you really do deserve it. You and all the guys on YouTube that are, that have these huge followings, whether it be, the Nazi Paul Joseph Watson.
Oh yeah, he's a Nazi, yeah.
And the Nazi Steven Crowder, yeah. And all these guys, right, who don't come from the academic bien pensant class.
So are Dave Rubin and Gad Saad correct about this guy? I mean, who the hell is Paul Joseph Watson? Is he part of the New Center? Is he a rational, skeptical journalist? Does he have some valid points, even if he's a little bit controversial? No, he's a conspiracy theorist idiot. And anyone, including President Trump, Gad Saad, and Dave Rubin, who have promoted this guy as an actual source of valid information, should be totally ashamed of themselves. We shouldn't just ignore this guy. We should stamp out his vile brand of ridiculous horseshit from our discourse. This guy is totally beyond the pale, and let me explain why. Now, one would think that merely being a writer for InfoWars would discredit someone completely. InfoWars is a place that's a clearinghouse for conspiracy theories. They sell every conspiracy theory in the book. Everything is a conspiracy. 9/11 attacks, government hoax. 7/7 attacks, government hoax. Fluoride, a government conspiracy. It pervades all of their editorial content, including Paul's content, because I will give him the benefit of the doubt. It's possible to be the most sane writer for InfoWars. It's possible to be a good journalist at a bad institution, but he's not that. His editorial content is a cleaned up version of Alex Jones. Just look at the articles written under his byline on InfoWars. You see 9/11 truther conspiracies. You see an article alleging that Kanye West named his son as part of an Illuminati ritual. That kind of ridiculous nonsense needs to be pushed out of our discourse. It is absolutely ridiculous that you would take someone like that seriously. To state the obvious, if you believe 9/11 conspiracy theories, you cannot evaluate evidence in a logical way. You're not a serious journalist. You're not a serious thinker. You're a nut. I can't trust you on any issue if you are not able to decipher the fact that the 9/11 attacks were perpetrated by Al-Qaeda. If you cannot look at evidence and come to that conclusion, you just don't reach the threshold. And just think about how insulting that is. You're dishonoring the memory of the people who died. The firefighters, the office workers who were killed on 9/11. You dishonor them by lying about what happened to them. It shows that you're ideologically able to justify anything. You'll say anything, create any theory to get where you want. You have a Manichaean worldview that is not compatible with rationality or a democratic system. When we talk about liberal values, the underpinning of all of that has to be some pragmatic view of reality. You can't just make up things you want to be true. You can't say that Hillary Clinton is a Satanist who has a massive child molestation factory located in a pizza place in Northwest DC. You have to think critically. If we start believing people like InfoWars, we have no chance to do anything. We have no chance to advance as a country because we have no shared basis of reality. You'll follow somebody into the depths of hell. That's how totalitarians work. That's what Hitler and Stalin did. They muzzled the press and promoted people who were willing to tell any lie, who were willing to repeat any conspiracy theory. But it's even more sinister than that, because obviously we've always had these conspiracy theorists. You look back in history, you have the John Birch Society, you have people who are concerned about UFOs and Bigfoot. They've always been around us. But the difference is that this conspiracy movement is plugged in to a very large power base. Their website is a powerful force on Trump's social media. And InfoWars has its own agenda. It's the agenda of Vladimir Putin's Russia. Now, there's a lot of accusations about Russia going out right now. And a lot of it can be characterized to seem like alarmism, like its own sort of conspiracy thinking. But you look at Paul Watson's resume, you look at the articles he's written, he has a clear perspective on Vladimir Putin and the goals of the Russian regime. And not only that, if you look at the other publication he's written for, what is it? It's Alexander Dugin's think tank journal. Who is Alexander Dugin?
Vladimir Putin's name is known, of course, all over the world. The name of Alexander Dugin, not so much. But to people in the know, Alexander Dugin, a philosopher and Russian public intellectual, matters because he says what Putin thinks. Joining us now for more on the man who has been called Putin's brain, here's Michael Millerman. He is a PhD student in political science who has co-translated Alexander Dugin's Fourth Political Theory. Michael, it's good to have you on TVO for the first time. Welcome.
Thanks.
Tell us off the top, why do you think it's so important to know who Dugin is to understand why Putin is doing what he's doing?
Well, it's very important to know who Dugin is because he's Russia's chief ideological mastermind. So officially, Russia doesn't have an ideology. According to the Russian constitution, they're not allowed to have an ideology. But as you can see, if you listen to Putin's speeches, see what he's doing, they seem to be acting in line with some real idea about Russia's role in history and Russia's place in the world. And the source for those ideas is really Dugin's theory of Eurasianism.
Duginites see Eurasia in a time tunnel as part of a greater Russian empire, land dominated by a superior culture and civilization.
Not only does this guy look like a combination of Rasputin and the Shovel Slayer from Home Alone, he's a literal fascist. And I don't mean that as a slam or an insult on him. He's a self-professed fascist.
Dugin believes what Russia needs is, quote, a genuine, true, radically revolutionary, and consistent fascism.
And guess what? Paul Joseph Watson wrote an article for the English language version of Alexander Dugin's Russian think tank. What a great member of the new center he is, huh? And then you look at his actual content he's written on Russia, the videos he's made on Russia. There's a clear pattern. He carries the water of the Putin regime. You see articles about the 2014 Russian invasion of Ukraine. His articles line up completely with the Russian position. Look at his take on the shooting down of a Malaysian commercial flight over Ukrainian airspace by Russian separatists. He toes the Putin line. And who does the conspiracy seek to exonerate? Putin's Russia. You look at his articles on the anti-gay legislation in Russia. Again, he tries to downplay Putin's authoritarian policies. This guy is the biggest fan of Putin out there. And that plugs into the Euroscepticism. It plugs into Brexit. It plugs into this narrative about Muslim immigration into Europe. Putin wants a weak, divided Europe. And the agenda here is clear. Sow the seeds of paranoia and division in the West. That's what's so incredibly ironic about people like Dave Rubin and Gad Saad promoting this guy. They claim to be proponents of liberalism. They claim to be proponents of empiricism. And here they are supporting a guy who's both an opponent of liberalism and a conspiracy theory horseshit salesman who is literally nuttier than squirrel heaven. But that's just the hypocrisy from guys like Gad Saad and Dave Rubin who promote InfoWars and Paul Joseph Watson. It's not actually about liberalism. It's not actually about empiricism or being a rational, skeptical guy. It's merely politics. It's the politics of convenience. This guy is anti-Muslim. They're anti-Muslim. That's all they need to hear. Mr. Watson is anti-left. They're anti-left. This isn't about their high-minded values that they lecture everyone about. It's just mere politics. And it's disgusting because they're on the side of Vladimir Putin. They're on the side of Donald Trump, Kellyanne Conway, Sean Spicer, and the degradation of our national debate into a gaslighting session by the far right. So here's my advice, ultimately. If you're an actual liberal, you need to be against InfoWars. You can't just be neutral. We need to be fighting back, pushing back against this fake news epidemic. We need to mock and deride these people out of existence. Because the truth is, if you say you think 9/11 was an inside job by the government, or you think Obama was born in Kenya, you don't deserve respect. At the end of the day, if you've lost sight of that, you don't deserve to call yourself a liberal. And to close, let me leave you with this. This is a quote from the great New York Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. You're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. You're entitled to your own opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts. Thank you.